Welcome back to our channel, Did You Know? Today we are discussing the story of Fairfax, Oklahoma, a small town on the Osage Reservation. Today, it looks quiet, just another forgotten corner of America. But 100 years ago, it was the center of one of the darkest, bloodiest, and most sinister conspiracies in U.S. history. A story of oil, greed, betrayal, and murder. This is the macabre history of Fairfax, the Osage Reign of Terror. In the early 1900s, the Osage Nation, an indigenous tribe in Oklahoma, discovered something beneath their land: oil. Black gold. Suddenly, the Osage people became some of the wealthiest individuals per capita in the entire world. Mansions, chauffeured cars, jewelry, fine clothes. The Osage lived with luxuries unimaginable for most Americans at the time. But wealth attracts predators. And soon, outsiders were circling: lawyers, businessmen, guardians, scheming to control the oil money that rightfully belonged to the Osage. The U.S. government declared that many Osage were incompetent to handle their own wealth. Courts appointed white guardians to manage their money. These guardians often embezzled funds, overcharged for services, and, worst of all, inherited the estates of Osage clients when they mysteriously died. This opened the door to a wave of crime so brutal it would shock the nation. In 1921, the first cracks appeared. Anna Brown, an Osage woman, was found dead in a ravine. Doctors ruled it alcohol poisoning, but later it was revealed she had been shot in the head. Her cousin, Henry Roan, was found dead in his car, shot in the back of the head. Another Osage, George Bigheart, suddenly fell ill and died after drinking poisoned whiskey. And then came the most terrifying act. In Fairfax, Rita Smith, Anna Brown's sister, was murdered with her husband, William, when their home exploded in the middle of the night. A nitroglycerin bomb had been planted beneath their house, killing them and their servant instantly. One by one, Osage families were being wiped out. But these weren't random killings. Behind them was a mastermind, William K. Hale, a wealthy cattleman, known as the King of the Osage Hills. Hale posed as a friend of the Osage, but secretly orchestrated murders to gain control of their oil hedge rights. His nephew, Ernest Burkhart, was married to an Osage woman, Molly Kyle. Through Molly, Hale saw an opportunity to eliminate her family and inherit their fortune. Slowly, systematically, Molly's relatives were being murdered, while she herself was being poisoned under the guise of medical care. By the mid-1920s, dozens of Osage were dead. Some estimates say the true number could be in the hundreds. But local law enforcement looked the other way. Some officials were bribed, others too afraid to act. Fairfax, once a thriving town, lived under a cloud of terror. Families whispered in fear, knowing any of them could be next. Desperate for justice, the Osage Nation appealed to the federal government. In 1923, a new agency took the case, the Bureau of Investigation, later known as the FBI. For young Director J. Edgar Hoover, this was one of the agency's first major murder cases. Agent Tom White, a former Texas Ranger, led a team undercover in Osage County. Patiently, they gathered evidence, infiltrated Hale's circle, and built the case. Finally, the truth came out. Hale, Burkhart, and their accomplices were exposed as conspirators behind the murders. The trial shocked the nation. Newspapers across America covered the story of unimaginable greed and betrayal. Hale and Burkhart were convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But justice was incomplete. Many murders were never solved. Many killers were never punished. And worse, years later, both Hale and Burkhart were paroled, walking free despite the blood on their hands. For the Osage, wounds remained open. Fairfax, Oklahoma, became a symbol of both tragedy and resilience. For decades, schools didn't teach this history. Many locals kept silent, too ashamed or too afraid to speak. But the Osage people never forgot. Today, thanks to books like David Grant's Killers of the Flower Moon and Martin Scorsese's film adaptation, the world finally knows the truth about the Reign of Terror. The story of Fairfax is not just a tale of greed, it is a warning. A reminder of what happens when racism, corruption, and unchecked power collide. And a call to honor the Osage people, who endured one of the darkest chapters in American history. Fairfax may look quiet today, but beneath its streets and hills lies a history soaked in blood. A story of betrayal by neighbors, corruption by authorities, and the resilience of a people who survived. This is the macabre history of Fairfax. This is the Osage Reign of Terror.